Today is going to be a short one. I'm trying to break a personal record, 4 videos in 4 days. ETA Prime, I'm gunning for you, my friend. Very, very far away, of course. If you have been on the telescopic market, if you've watched my reviews or other reviews of controllers such as the EasySMX M15 or the Memo S3 phone or tablet edition, or even the new Xplode, which can be found on Amazon, XP-01, I think, immediately the shape of this one might seem familiar. And for good reasons, because it is indeed the same shape. That being said, this one does a few things that are completely different, impactful differences that this one has versus the other ones. And of course, we'll cover it in that video. Now the box, by the way, very simple. Here we have the manual and here we have the controller. When it comes to the aesthetic, it's obviously different, although there is a wide version of this one if you would prefer. And in terms of ergonomics and feel, I will say it's almost identical. The one very small difference, and that might have to do with whatever they use to color the surface, or if there is a chemical agent to color the plastic. It does feel just ever so slightly different in terms of the surface of the console. It has that same grip in the back. I find that this one feels a little bit better, like it has a slightly better grip, whereas this one is a little more slippery, but it's an extremely minute detail. One thing for sure is it has more details in terms of the overall look. Now another difference, which of course I'm not able to show you, I'll probably put a picture on screen, is when you crack it open, you'll notice here that the options are different, and that signals our second difference. And then the third one, I'm actually going to show you in the app. Of course, we have the testing all the same, that doesn't change. When going into settings, we see all the different pulling rates, and I'm using MUI Gaming all the same. Now here's the thing, to the left, you have your keys, you have your triggers, you have rumble, you have your levers, and you can do the curves, all the things. This is all the same. The big difference is we have motion, and this is something that the Memo S3 does not have, none of the two models, something that the Xplode does not have, and something that the EasySMX M15 does not have. As you can see here, I don't know if it's gonna pick it up well enough, but I'm moving my right stick by using motion, and you have a lot of different settings. You can choose which button to activate, so I put my M2, so I can just activate it like this. And if I wanted to control my left stick instead, I could do that. You can also address the curve with your 2 sliders that you have here. So this is by far the key difference, but it's not free, is what I want to show you guys. When you go here and you click on your modes, which you can also do with the other models that are similar, you see all the different modes, and you'll notice we have the Nintendo Switch mode and we have the Xbox mode. Bluetooth is your only option when using an iPhone. When using Android, you can operate wired, but only with the HID Android mode, which is what you're also going to use to be able to map your to have screen mapping on your games, which is something we cannot do with iOS. That doesn't change. Personally, I love the color scheme, which is very Steam Deck OLED limited edition-esque. It's a little more orange than the red-ish that the Steam Deck uses, and it's also not see-through. It's kind of a very dark gray. Outside of that, the buttons are also mechanical. They feel exactly the same as the other models. So you have a mechanical D-pad with short travel. You have a longer travel phase buttons. You have tactile shoulder buttons, analog triggers, and then tactile back paddles, and then you have Hall effect sticks. The triggers are also Hall effect, the sticks click, and you have your USB-C that is right there, all the same. You can put the Memo S3 cooler on this version as well. The cooler is gonna work just fine. I just wanted to have this open so that we can finally test it without a case, because that was something I did wrong when I reviewed the Memo S3 tablet edition. So here we have about 75, it goes anywhere between 75 to 80 Celsius degrees, which is pretty much the highest that I can get this to crank up at the fastest speed. And we're gonna come back to it
5 minutes later.
The temperature is a little lower, honestly, not by as much as what you would get from a direct connection, but it's It's actually doing a little bit better than I originally expected. It's knocking down approximately 5 Celsius degrees on average. I'll take it. It's better than nothing, but it's not as good as dedicated cooling options out there. So right now, as you can see, I'm using the gyro from the controller. I have put it at very high sensitivity. Man, this is hard. And believe me, I played with this last night and it was so awesome. I mean, I use that, not this. So I don't have as much room as I usually would. It's not, you know, it's not like if you use gyro on your Steam Deck or if you use gyro on Steam, it's not as reliable as that, but or big one controllers, for example. But this is better, at least from what I had tried so far. This is better than the solution that I've experienced with the Xplode S9. Oh no. Wow, that was terrible. Now, I'm gonna shut it for a second because I kind of need to see what's happening here. But you see, I could have made it so one thing you could do is lower the sensitivity and only put it when you hold your left trigger. So the options are really yours to make and to adjust accordingly. I also usually I don't like when that turns left. I like the opposite, so I would invert it, which you have the option. I haven't talked about it, but there's a lot of things that you can do to make your experience overall better. Right now it's a little challenging to show you, so you kind of have to take my word for it, and I apologize for that. It is really good. Again, it's not as good as some of the PC or console options out there, but it's definitely good enough that I would use it for sure. Of course, when you switch to the Switch mode, you can use that on your actual Switch console. This is something that the other models do not do as well. So in terms of compatibility, this really takes it up a notch because you still retain rumble, you still have the Hall effect sticks and triggers, you still have compatibility with most devices. The few exceptions are going to be game related, not so much the platform, because you're going to be able to use it on iOS, you're going to be able to use it on PC, you're going to be able to use it on Android, but you're also going to be able to use it on Switch. I just finished a tier list. I received it literally the next day. As far as I'm concerned, that is an S above the Memo tablet, because while you lose the ability to use that on a tablet, you gain so much more, like the Switch, like the gyro. I think the few sacrifices it made ultimately gives me an experience that I consider to be better. And so that is it, guys. I said it was going to be a short video. There it is. It's very simple. I have a lot of videos covering the EasySMX M15 and the Memo S3. In terms of ergonomics, I like it. I like what this controller stands for. It's a little bit on the smaller side. The quality is maybe not as great as something like the Galileos, but this one really closes the gap in terms of feature, and it takes a slightly different route in terms of compatibility, which I actually much prefer here. I don't know that I'd be using this on my Switch, but to know that I could, this gets a lot closer to something like the Xplode S9, as crazy as it is, and it's also extremely good in terms of value. Definitely a big contender in the space, and one that I would absolutely not dismiss. And so there you have it, guys. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comment box. Please consider doing all the YouTube things, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.